Today on Dice to Pixels, we're going to be talking about the Helldivers situation, Helldivers 2, and a little bit about Pandemic Legacy.
I'm still fucking waiting to log on.
Yeah.
It's been several days.
Several days, yeah.
Yeah. So as we record this on Thursday evening, they just released the patch to finally kick AFK people from the servers.
I don't understand why they wouldn't have had that to begin with. That's so dumb.
Yeah, like there are things that you expect when a studio has their first serious breakout, where it's like, oh, they didn't expect the load or whatever. And there was some of that here.
Yeah.
But things as simple as you have to kick people who are AFK, like, how'd you miss that one?
Yeah.
Come on now.
Yep.
Come on. That was obvious. You should have got that one.
Yeah.
But as of now, theoretically, that's happening, which I assume means we haven't had a chance to test it. But presumably, by the time you're watching this, their server woes will have largely been resolved, and people can finally actually enjoy the damn game.
Yeah, and if you're one of those people that decided to stay logged in and be AFK just so you wouldn't get booted from the server,
there is a porcupine being mailed to you right now.
And it's covered in glitter.
I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to tell you you're a dick.
Yeah, that too. But a glitter pine would be a great
glitter pine. Jesus.
Yeah. So obviously everybody likes the game. They just haven't been able to play it.
Yeah.
So now hopefully I'm busy through midday Saturday, but like Saturday evening, my entire night is pretty much I'm planning to just play Helldivers 2 all night. So hopefully we'll be able to get on and do
hopefully,
some stuff.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hopefully you get on tonight.
Unfortunately, I have to continue building things tonight.
Yeah,
but certainly this weekend I'm going to play some. Yeah. And it's a great game. I mean, I've enjoyed what I've played of it. I just haven't played barely any, partly because of the servers and partly because I just haven't had that much time. So
Well, thankfully, at least if I do have issues trying to log into Helldivers 2, at least we have Pacific Drive now.
Yeah,
that came out today, so we pre-ordered it. It's basically like an endless driver. It's like an endless driver or an endless runner, but it's like endless driver. You're driving around in this old station wagon that you can modify and upgrade with scavenged other parts that you find layered throughout the environments. And there's always crap happening in the environment, like the shit flying at you, ground opening up, all that kind of stuff. And you're basically trying to get there is a reason for it all, and apparently you can find out. It's just getting there. So
it does have an end.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, as far as I know.
It's a roguelike,
yeah, it's a roguelike, yeah, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
But I'm looking for it. It's one of the ones where when you and I first seen it, we were like, oh shit, this looks freaking, and I instantly put it on my wish list. And yeah, I had forgotten that it was releasing like today.
Yeah.
So, today being Thursday, not today being Saturday.
Yes. Yeah, 2 days ago for you.
Yes.
For you time travelers. How'd you do it? Tell me.
1.21 gigawatts!
Apparently they're going to do, or there's talks about redoing.
Nope.
Yeah, that seems to be the general attitude to that.
Nope.
What was it? What's his face? Tom Holland. Apparently they were.
No.
They were talking about doing Back to the Future reboot.
I mean, if there was going to be anyone, he, I guess, would be okay. But no, just don't.
I just hope he's the professor, not Marty McFly.
No, there's some movie franchises you just don't touch, and that's one of them. Like that trilogy was so good, just the way it is, the way it was. Like, okay, yes, we're well past fucking 2015 now and all that stuff. Great. We don't have flying cars. I don't care. It's still a good trilogy of movies. Leave them the fuck alone.
Yeah, I just don't understand why you'd bother remaking them. It's a bit like trying to remake Ghostbusters. It's like, it's not going to work. Just don't bother trying.
Yeah.
Or Terminator, man. The Terminator series is another one that needs to just end. Just end.
Yeah.
Well, end is one option. Like, do something good again would be another option. They just haven't made any good movies for a while.
Yeah.
But Yeah, so Tom Holland, we're gonna get a video game series of Back to the Future. I'm sure has there ever been a video game Back to the Future? I don't think there has.
On the old NES.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Oh, has
it
there?
was a
Yeah.
shit. So LJN made, I think two. Well, they did the entire trilogy. The one on the the first one was hard as fuck, and like really, if you played it, it was like nothing to do with the actual movie. The second one was again kind of stupid, just a typical like dumb collectathon, really hard dumb shit. The third one on the Genesis is like insanely hard. But the angry video game nerd actually did a series on. He was going back and reviewing some games that he reviewed earlier, and he started bitching about Back to the Future, like how can they fuck this up? Like it's right there, like it's easy to make a game out of. But I guess there was in Japan on the Super Famicom, there was a Back to the Future 2 game that followed the plot of the movie and was actually really good.
Oh.
Yeah.
And it never made its way over here.
That's bizarre.
Yeah. But he in the video he started freaking out like, why did we not get this and all this crap. But yeah. They haven't been good except for that one in Japan.
I was just looking at this is a wonderful segue or wonderful tangent we're on. Apparently it was available for OS X.
Ooh.
Oh.
Which is a little wild because
yeah,
it's pretty old. I was just seeing if I could download it. There's a couple of sites that say you can, but I assume most of them are viruses. Although this one's on Mac Informer, which isn't like a super terrible. So yeah, it looks like you might be able to still get it. Huh. I might have to check this out. I don't know if it'll run on modern OS X or Mac OS or whatever or not, but yeah, it's just wild when you look at an old game and see that it was available for OS X. That doesn't happen all that often. So yeah. So Back to the Future, that's great. We'll get a rebooted game series as well.
Yeah.
I think we're just about due for an Alien versus Predator reboot.
How many has I can only
they're
think
up
of
to
two.
they're up to like 26 now, so it's about time to reboot the series.
Oh, okay.
No, I think 7, honestly.
Really?
I think so.
Holy shit. Apparently I stopped paying attention after 2.
Yeah. Well, I mean, not Alien versus Predator, but like the Alien series of movies. It might even be more than 7 actually now. It's pretty big. And there's been a bunch of games too.
3, 4, 5. I can think of 5 off of the top of my head, so it's probably closer to 7.
Yeah, it's probably getting on a dozen or so by now because there's been a lot too.
I mean, really, the only ones worth watching are the first 2.
And the only game really worth playing is the old school, like kind of 2D brawler, Alien versus Predator, where you play as humans and predators against the aliens.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's fucking good.
I was always surprised that nobody made like a Left 4 Dead, like in that era, Left 4 Dead version of like AVP.
That'd be so good.
Yeah, right? Like, I always thought it'd be an interesting... Because you get those game modes from time to time in games like Left 4 Dead, where it's like one person's super powerful and the other people are all, like, against them. And that would lend itself so very well to AVP. I'm sure there's been mods.
Yeah.
There was a Predator game that was like that, where one person was the Predator and then a bunch of the other people were like soldiers or whatever. It was from the same people that did...
was it the same one that did the Michael Myers one?
It's similar to that.
Yeah.
They did. Fuck, I can't remember the name of the game. It came out on PS Evolve. They did Evolve. I think.
Okay.
Where Evolve was you start as like a small monster, and as you like eat other animals and players, you like evolve into like a bigger threat. And then the other 4 are just hunters.
That's cool.
It flopped horribly.
Interesting.
Really?
Yeah, I remember.
Well,
seeing
yeah,
the
I bought it
for
when
but-
we were together, and I played it once, and it was like just nothing to it.
So just not good.
No,
That's a shame.
so, but yeah,
Because that's a good idea.
It probably was ahead of its time more than anything.
Yeah.
And made by the wrong company.
I don't know how good the Predator one did, but like there's been so many like that with the Friday the 13th, Halloween, the Predator one. There was I think Dead by Daylight's kind of the same thing.
Kind of. Dead by Daylight, as long as it's the game I'm thinking of, it's
I think everyone can attack everyone in that one.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think there is a mode that works kind of like that, but I'm not sure if it's a mod or if it's the actual mode. But yeah, Dead by Daylight is more like just general survival than like King of the Hill sort of thing. But it was a good game. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I played a lot of multiplayer with my buddies on it.
Yeah.
Wasn't the Quarry kind of like that then too?
I can't remember.
Oh.
I just remembered this. So Elden Ring is in the news this week as well. They've sold over 23 million copies, and that's probably going to go up now because they just announced their first DLC for it called Shadow of the Erd Tree. I believe it comes out in June, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, like there's been a bunch of guys in one of my gaming clan chats that's like, a lot of them are stoked about this, and we've been waiting for, the Elden Ring DLC announcement for a while now. So, yeah, there's that. I just wanted to mention that real quick.
Yeah, I was actually going to mention that too. I admit I thought that it was out sooner than that, but maybe I'll finally get Elden Ring when it comes out.
That's quite the fuck, because that's more than a year for an expansion to come out. So they must have been.
Well, didn't they say when it came out that they were going to take their time with?
Oh yeah, probably. Yeah. And then they had Armored Core come out as well, pretty much after Elden Ring. So
yeah,
I think with the quality of those games anyway, the fact that they've taken their time with them does say a lot about how they view their games, and it seems like a sign of respect towards the players as well to some extent, whether it's intentional or not.
And I feel like studios are finally starting to get the message that games don't have to be a flash in the pan.
Exactly.
I think more and more with games like Stardew Valley, for instance, and many others, but just we were talking about Stardew earlier. People are like, studios are starting to realize that, like, hey, a game can be successful for years if you just give it a little TLC. You don't have to crank out 6 expansions in the first year and then forget about it. You can kind of slow burn it.
I mean, even No Man's Sky is a great example of that too.
Yeah,
they just had their Omega update. Too.
Yeah, I got to check it out and see what the new stuff is. I haven't looked at it at all, but I did hear that there was an expansion or an update rather. So yeah, like it'll be nice to see more of that, because there are people who commit to a game in a fairly significant way. And it's nicer for those people, as you were kind of saying, that, it's the yearly Elden Ring DLC. I can get that and really sink my teeth into it.
Yeah.
And, let them enjoy that game for longer. I mean, look at Skyrim. It's still being played.
Oh, yeah.
And it hasn't even gotten any meaningful updates or anything. It's just mods and everything. So,
but also with those types of games too, they're not games that rush through them. Like an Elden Ring, you have to take your time with it to a certain extent,
right?
Because of the style of play. And
yeah. So that's cool. Like I said, I might finally actually properly play Elden Ring when the DLC comes out, because I'm sure they'll do some sort of a bundle.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Steam will if they don't.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure everybody will.
So yeah, I saw you.
Yeah, well, first off, the beautiful and lovely Adrian celebrated a birthday this past Tuesday.
Celebrate is a strong word, but I did have a birthday.
Had a birthday.
Yeah.
We celebrated. We had a
games
game,
which was
a games
great.
day. Sunday. Sarah and I had never played Pandemic before.
Yeah.
And this was one that Adrian had busted out. So we got into this, and this is a great game.
Pandemic is a wonderful game.
We kind of lucked out, and we got like the best team.
Yeah. We crushed it. It was great. Although I learned after the fact that we were cheating just a tiny bit.
What? How?
It wouldn't have mattered. But the disease cubes, when you cure a disease, it still infects. It's not until you wipe all of the existing cubes off the board that it stops infecting. I know this because I went and bought Pandemic Legacy, and Danielle and I have been playing it, and I reread the rules to make sure I really knew what I was doing. And that came up because there's cured and there's eradicated. So cured is when you give up the cards to cure it, and then
Mhm.
eradicate is when you've cured it and removed all the cubes.
Okay.
So
So technically speaking, we didn't actually finish the game.
no, curing is finished. Like you do finish when you cure all the diseases.
Oh, okay.
It's just that there was like 1 or 2 infections that would have actually taken place that we cheated. Wouldn't have for our game. It wouldn't have made any difference at all.
No.
But it is the thing, and that comes up because one of the objectives that comes up in the second or third month for Pandemic Legacy is to eradicate the disease. And so they make a point of that being different. So Pandemic Legacy, for anyone who doesn't know, it's not new by any means. So I expect most people know this, but it's a legacy game of Pandemic. So you play through the first month. It's a 12-month game. You play through January to December. And January is basically just a bog standard game, or at least starts as a bog standard game of Pandemic. There's a twist towards the end of the first game, mid of the first game. And then if you beat that, you move on to February. If you lose, you get to retry it. And if you lose again, you still move on, but you don't get like the win bonus. So it's a little harder. But I love just aspects of it. I'm not going to spoil anything significant. Just little things that are just in the rule book. You don't need to open anything to find this out.
Well, you mentioned twist, and the first thing that popped into my head was M. Night Shyamalan made a game?
Well, so the twist, I mean, I can be broad about it without spoiling anything. The twist is basically one of the diseases is special. And then I'm pretty sure that's sort of the narrative throughout the entire game. We're only a little bit in, but it seems like that the one disease that becomes special is like the evolving narrative. But like little things, if you win a game, your funding level drops by 2 because you've clearly got things under control. But if you lose, your funding goes up because we gotta handle this.
Yeah.
And little things like that are just fun. I've heard things that I won't repeat in case anyone, I don't want to spoil it, even though it's been out for a while. Board games, I feel like spoilers for board games, I feel like you got to be a little extra careful with because some people don't get to them for years.
Yeah.
But like there's like disinformation campaigns and everything else that come up in the game later is my understanding. And apparently it's a little too true to reality in some places. So yeah, anyways, I'm looking forward to playing through more of it. Depending on things, we'll play the 4 of us too, because you don't have to play with the same number of players every time. You can bring in new people and drop them out.
Yeah.
But you get like new structures and new actions and new characters that you unlock throughout the game. And
nice.
It's all very cool. I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah. I actually should have left the pile of games here because we played that one card game.
Yeah, I can't think of what it was
like
called. It's something like Nakaru, but I don't think that's right. You're building a Zen garden basically, so you have stones with the numbers 0 through 9 on them, and a couple of blank stones. And each stone has on the back of it, it's actually 2 separate cards, so there's some randomization, but on the back of the card, it's a rule about what you can do with it. So during your turn, you swap 2 stones on the table, and the back of the card might say, like, you can only swap this with a dark stone, or it can't be next to an even number, or whatever. Narabi, yes. So it looks like this. And it's from Z-Man Games, and I picked it up at Princess Auto for like $2. It was harder than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
By the way, thank you to the lovely stagehand for getting that for us.
Thank you, Alter Chad.
Oh, no problem.
I picked up 2 copies because I was going to give one, and I still will, to my brother for their kids to try. It's definitely a little bit heady for kids, just because you've got to plan ahead several turns, or else you just get stuck in a loop. But this is super fun. If you see this, grab it, because like I paid $2 for it, but I assume even a normal price, it's like sub 10 probably. And fun little quickish. It only took us 20 minutes maybe,
something like
once
that,
we got playing. Yeah, one of those good games.
It was one of those games where like immediately right off the bat, like I was pretty much screwed. I could only do one thing.
Yeah.
Because both of the cards I have, I couldn't move the one on my turn and I couldn't move the other one because it wasn't on a specific side on somebody's hand. So the only one I could move was, and it had to be to the right of the right. It was really weird. Like
each stone has its own rules about what you can do with it, and you can't switch your own stones. You can only switch with other players, and so the whole game is order them from 0 to 9, and it's simple. Like once you understand the game, once you play it a few times, like the first few like turns, it's extremely intuitive how to play. But it's you've got to work as a group and you got to come up with a strategy because otherwise you just end up going in circles.
Yeah.
So that was fun. And then we played Small World incorrectly, but it was still fun.
Yeah, that one was.
It's okay.
Yeah, it was all right. It's one of those things, and you said it right even before we played. Like usually, like right off the hop, I mean, you could pretty much take a commanding lead, like right off the hop, depending on what you have, or it can be like a slog kind of thing.
Yeah. It's the balance is interesting on it, and also it just becomes, unlike a lot of games where it becomes more rewarding the longer you play. Like there's a lot of games where you're like, oh, I wish there was a few extra turns. I know it'd probably get out of hand if there were. Like I remember Ancient Aliens when we played it.
Yeah.
We were just starting to get our engine going. It was really good. And it's like, oh man, I kind of wish that it was just a couple turns longer because it'd be super. This is the opposite. Small World, by the time you get to round 10, it's like, okay, we're fucking done here. Can we wrap this up?
Honestly, it probably could have been half as many rounds and it would have been
We ended up doing that though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think starting it with like a 5 to 6 round game is not a bad idea. So
yeah, because there was a few times like, I mean, you had the one turn where you basically went from one corner of the map to the other, and then because my first like 3 turns, I was literally, because I had dwarves and I
had one of the low counts,
something, but I literally started on the bottom 4 near a mine, which gave me like a point almost every turn, and I literally just stayed there.
Yeah,
I didn't do anything
on there for a long time
until I decided to decline the race, and then my next race I did what you did, and I came in, I was like, I'll go here and here and here and
well that's the problem, right? Like the game just devolves into everybody just taking as many territories as they can every turn, and that's fine, but after 3 or 4 turns that gets exceedingly like old. So it's fine, but it's not a super long lasting game. It doesn't get better the longer you play it. You play it a little bit and then it's done. Whereas things like Pandemic, like it's good that it ends because otherwise there would be no like
satisfaction.
Well, satisfaction, and there would be no like stress. Like it wouldn't be nail biter.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like right up until the last turn, you're right in it. Whereas,
because we got close to losing that.
Yeah, we were like, 2 cards away. Yeah. But yeah, Pandemic's great. There's a couple games like it that we should check out, and then the other one that I should introduce you guys to at some point soon is Dominant Species. I don't know if you'd be sold on it or not, but it's a fun game.
Yeah.
You're trying to evolve sort of the dominant species on a world, so you can end up with like flying spiders and shit.
That sounds like your nightmare.
It's kind of cool. And then someday we should play Ancient Aliens again.
Yeah, and we should also play Wingspan. I didn't think of that till later on that day.
Yeah.
I never think about it because I play it so often on my laptop. But we should absolutely play Wingspan. It's a great game.
Yep.
But so Pandemic and then Pandemic Legacy, which we'll definitely do a 4-player of Legacy. Yes. And I mean, the thing is, as much as it's interesting, the additions to the game, the regular Pandemic is still just it's just as good. So
yeah, it was great. I had a damn good time with it.
Yeah, and it definitely has that replayability there.
Oh yeah. I have never had an unenjoyable game of Pandemic. We're gonna try Eldritch Horror soon. I'm gonna borrow it from my buddy John, and show you guys how hard mode Pandemic works.
There's still that other one too that we bought that you had gotten in Columbus that one year for Origins that we all played.
Night Cage?
Yeah, Night Cage. We should
Oh,
go back to that
yeah.
one too.
Oh, have we not played it again? I
No.
must have played it with somebody else again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, because you got it. You got it
fucking
initially for I think Aaron, and then
Yeah, who I have played it with,
Yeah.
but yeah, Night Cage is hard as well.
yeah, that was fun though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All the games. Yeah, we actually played some board games for a change.
Yeah.
It's, we usually when we get together we film podcasts, so we don't we haven't been playing too many board games, but it was good to get together and actually do that for a bit.
Mhm, mhm.
hell yeah.
Board games are so good.
They
They're
are.
so much better than video games. Video games are so much more accessible, but board games are so much better.
It's a different way of thinking.
Yeah.
It really is what it. Yeah. Wow.
And every board game is couch co-op, which is like
Exactly.
that's the way to be.
Yes.
Wow.
And then
Dining room table
there's
co-op.
card games though.
Card games are good too.
Oh yeah. We're gonna
I'm
bring
gonna have
some of
to-
those and.
I just have to find my. I'll just order another brick. I had a brick of playing cards, but I think I put a couple of decks in go bags and stuff, so they're just all around the house.
We have a bunch
Um,
of decks of cards as well too.
Well, I usually try to have a brick of cards laying around anyways, because every once in a while I get an itch to do some cardistry,
Mm.
and you go through cards real fast.
Yes.
When you're bad at cardistry.
That's why I found the 6 of clubs in the front yard.
Yeah.
Ah.
You're not wrong. So yeah, at some point I'll order another brick.
Yeah. So, well, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth will be out too, probably the next week. I might get it. I don't know if you get it. Let us know. If you're playing Pacific Drive, let us know. If you can log on Helldivers 2 and you're playing that, let us know. Give us what do you think of some of these board games? What's your favorite board games? What should we play? Adrian's probably played it. We haven't.
Yeah, if there's any games like Pandemic that aren't Eldritch Horror that you're like, oh, you should try that, let us know, because we all like Pandemic. So
Yeah.
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 All right.
And on that note, have a good week. Be nice to each other, and we'll see you next time.
We love you.
Love you.